Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our 12th Annual Prevention Summit. I am Tim Carta. I'm the Vice Chair on the Board of Directors. I'm going to start by asking how many of you have been to all 12 summits that we've had? Celeste, raise your hand. Thank you. That's amazing. Wow. Let's do any more than 10. More than 5. Is this anyone's first? Let's give them a round of applause for coming. That's amazing. We have a great day planned for you all. I'm going to start by talking about our mission. So the Raymond Coalition for Youth empowers the community to promote positive youth development and reduce youth substance misuse and suicide risk. Our 10-year goal is to eliminate substance misuse among our youth in the greater Raymond area by 2031. In order to achieve that, we need to work with the community. And so by all of you coming here today, you're part of the community, and this doesn't happen without you, and this event doesn't happen without you. So thank you. I want to say a thank you to our sponsors as well, because this doesn't happen without them. So we have Exeter Hospital, we have Walmart Distribution Center of Raymond, M&T Bank, AmeriHealth Caritas of New Hampshire, the New Hampshire Department of Health and Human Services, Raymond Area Rotary, Deerfield Family Dentistry, New Hampshire Electric Co-op, Jackson Lumber, Edward Jones, and WellSense Health Plan, Hillside Family Dental, Lamprey Healthcare, and Palmer Gas and Oil, the New Hampshire Charitable Foundation, and the Brian Carpentier family. I'll now pass it off to Celeste Clark, our excellent Executive Director.
Good morning, everybody. Now I know why you didn't move it. I want to thank you all for coming today and being a part of our morning. This is our 12th Annual Prevention Summit, and it definitely doesn't happen with all of you who are part of the coalition, so I appreciate all of you. The theme this year is the path, and ironically enough, when we were looking for a theme for the summit, it happened on the same day, I swear it did. A board member reached out to me and said, what if we think about doing the path? And then a staff member said, what if we do the path? Then we had Youth Action meeting that afternoon, and one of our youth members had talked about doing the path. So what is on our path? So all of us are out on a path full of opportunities, challenges, and choices, but also people who can help us along the way. And all of the people in this room here have the power to make a difference, not only in a young person's life, but in the people sitting next to you and in the community as a whole. So it's very fitting for all of the work that the coalition does each day. We started promoting Be the Person You Needed Growing Up, and that definitely fits in with the path and helping young people along the way and the decisions that they make. And again, I want to thank all of you. In front of you, and the big pile of stuff you had, and then you had to bring a plate of food and sit it down. But on the very bottom of that pile of stuff is our annual brag book, our annual report. And in there, there's 20 pages, and it could have been easily 8 pages more, but we had to try and keep condensing it down. But it really is a highlight of all of the things that the Raymond Coalition for Youth is able to do throughout the year with all of you as part of the coalition. So we use the word what a coalition is often. We talk about the coalition, and Miss Alice Peretti is going to help me talk about that with you because she's so passionate about it.
Hi, my name is Alice Peretti. A coalition is a formal collaboration among community groups. Each partner maintains their identity while working together to achieve a common goal of creating a safe and healthy community. Now here, we can see a lot of gears with a lot of different labels in them. And a lot of the people in this room all fit into these different categories. And without each and every one of your individual help, we would not be able to be here today and accomplish what we accomplished. So thank you so much for being a part of the coalition and for also helping to support the larger group as well as just make changes in our community. Thank you.
She had a lot of things that were thrown at her today, so we were trying to take some stuff off of her plate. She does a great job. So what is our why for being here today? All of you decided to come and spend some time with us this morning. You probably have a very busy schedule, lots of things happening, but you took a few hours out of your day to come here. This is why, because prevention is really important. This is Noah, and he lost his life this year due to drugs and alcohol. This is a very heavy thing to start with, but I did talk with some of our young people before putting this slide up, and they felt it was really important that the coalition is all about preventing things like this from happening. This was a really hard time for our community, especially for our young people in the school, for parents, for our first responders. But this is the why of the coalition, because we want to work together to prevent these things from happening. So, substance misuse can be prevented when we talk about it, so thank you all for being here again. Marijuana, vaping, alcohol, and prescription drugs seem to be the most prevalent things that our students are struggling with, so we'll talk a little bit about that quickly. The challenges of why that we're here and why these things are issues for our young people. Look-alike products so Arizona tea, we've probably all had Arizona tea sometime in our life. Now there's a hard Arizona tea. Very close resemblance to what one another is. Difficult for students to tell the difference between, or if a student was sneaking it in to a class or a party or something, it would be hard for an adult to know the difference. So literally the only difference is the arrow that says spiked or hard. The culture our young people are growing up in normalizes substance misuse. On the left-hand side, wine, gummy candies are in with the rest of the gummy candies. They don't have wine in them, but it's just the connotation that they are wine gummies. And then someone shared a buzzed, these things were sent to me, by the way, which is a testament to how good our coalition is when people are recognizing these things. The buzzed game in the bottom corner, if you can see, it's a popular retail store in our area. All the other games, it's the game section in this store, and they have drinking games amongst the other games. Poor adult role modeling in adults who provide to underage students. This is a local store and a parent. If we switch over to the opioid epidemic, we can see that Raymond is on this map. These are overdose deaths in the state of New Hampshire. And our DEA partners who have joined us several times to speak in the past talking about illegal pill mills. This is in New Hampshire. This is proof to what they have told us before. So these things are happening. We need to raise awareness to fake prescription drug pills and only taking pills that you get from a pharmacy. Opioid overdoses are down, still higher in Raymond. Again, this is the state map. This is the most recent map that was shared. Narcan plays a huge role in that. So everybody who has Narcan, there's Narcan at the back of the room. Our public health network provides that to us, and we distribute that into our community. All of our schools have Narcan. We work with our nurse for that. This is the opioid reversal drug. So if somebody is having an overdose, you can use this medication to reverse that. And then the idea is to hopefully get them into treatment and to get them help, and they can recover and be well and functioning citizens. If we talk about marijuana, how many people are weed confused? There's a map for that. This is literally if a state is fully legal, if it's decriminalized, if it has therapeutic cannabis. And it's hard, right? So if you ask a parent or somebody in the community what they know about marijuana, many times they don't know. Marijuana in New Hampshire is illegal. It was decriminalized in 2017, and we do have therapeutic cannabis. And I highlighted the 2017 for a reason. These are marijuana products right now. So they may not look like what you think of when you think of marijuana. And the THC content in all of them is very high also, which is very concerning. This is 2025 Youth Risk Behavior Survey at a high school level. As you can see, we started over in 2007 when alcohol was our prime concern. Marijuana was there, but we were focusing on alcohol at that time. You can see the two of them go pretty hand in hand. Alcohol is the blue line, marijuana is the green line. Up until 2025, alcohol took a little bit of a dip, and you can see marijuana is continuing to go up. So this is amongst our high school students. This is why our coalition is committed to talking about marijuana prevention And our coalition board of directors has taken a hard stance on that this is very important to us because we know how dangerous it is to our young people, and that's our prime focus. There's a lot of talk about accidents and driving safety on the roads in New Hampshire. Traffic accidents are the leading cause of teen deaths. And I put cell phones up there because how many people are concerned about people driving with their cell phones? How many people see people with a cell phone in their hand? Even though they're not supposed to. We know there's a law that says you're not supposed to do that. There's also a law that says teens aren't supposed to drink alcohol or use marijuana. But students who reported driving a car while they had been using marijuana, 11%. So that has increased in the past 2 years. Students who rode in a car with somebody who had been using marijuana is 29% of our students. It's a pretty high number. And then alcohol is the drive or rode in a car by using or consuming alcohol. So when we think about all the people that we might not be happy with who use their cell phones while they're driving, that's 31% of our teens. 29% of them could be driving with somebody who's been using marijuana. So enough about that. Those are the things, that's why we're here, that we want to do something about those things. But our strengths and our numbers and our protective factors, which the protective factors are all the good things that are in our life. And again, as Alice said, all of us in the room being focused on these things and wanting to do something about them, that's definitely a strength. We have our monthly meetings. We've had 10 of them last year. There was a few snowstorms. We have an office, 66 Main Street, and our young people get to go to our office in the summertime. So typically, our Youth Action students met throughout the school year, but now, since we have our own office and our own space, they have meetings in the summertime. They're in there, they're laughing, they're having fun. It's a great thing to see. This past year, we've been doing the DEA medication take-back, which is happening tomorrow. If any of you need to go clean the medications out of your cabinets, there's a location near you. We've expanded, so we now have a location in Candia and in Raymond. We work with the Raymond Police Department, which we've been doing for years. And Candia asked if we would help promote theirs, so we work with Candia First Stop up there. And last year, we collected 422 pounds of medication. Kind of crazy. This year we have an annual event called Project Safeguard for our 7th graders, parents, and their families to attend. And it's a day of education and awareness. We have it at Southern New Hampshire University. This year we also expanded over to the Candia Moore School and had a conversation with them, and now they are part of our Project Safeguard event also. We do NAMI suicide prevention training. We've trained the entire school district in Raymond with the partnership that we have with the Raymond School District. And 2 weeks ago, we trained a group of young people who will now be peer suicide prevention trainers who will go and train the rest of the school in recognizing the signs of suicide and knowing how to get help. We brought in at a statewide level, so some people say, oh, you're just a little coalition in Raymond, which we are, but we definitely expand far beyond Raymond with the work that we do. We hosted with SAM New Hampshire, which is Smart Approaches to Marijuana, the New Hampshire division, a marijuana legalization and public safety event that was held at St. Anselm College at the Institute of Politics. It is on our YouTube channel. It was a great discussion. We had both sides, people who were pro-marijuana and people who were against marijuana, so that it was an equal debate. I would encourage you to go look at it and watch it, because the person who was pro-legalization, I gave him a lot of credit for sitting there because all of the information that was shared was basically the false things that we think, the myths that we think that we're going to have all kinds of money if we legalize marijuana, which in fact is not true at all when you look at other states that have done this. Our Summer Fun Series, can I have Xavier and Alice raise their hand, please? These two young people worked very hard all summer, and every Thursday night they hosted a Summer Fun Series game with the Raymond Rec Department. Can you ladies raise your hand, please? They have a summer concert series, and our students provided fun games for kids every Thursday night, and they did a fabulous job planning it. We do a lot of student leadership trainings. We're doing Be Bold with the Raymond School District and Getting to Why with Liz is here someplace, which is a statewide effort using our Youth Risk Behavior Survey to find out from a student's point of view why these issues are issues and how we are going to address them and what the root causes of them are and what the things are that our students think we should be doing to make a difference in that. Out of those conversations, when we have those meetings with the kids, we ask them those same questions. What can we do to make a difference? And 2 or 3 trainings I think we did at the high school, and the conversation kept going back. The kids were looking for a basketball court, specifically at the high school, because we do have a rundown basketball court at our middle school, which is not where the high school is. And the kids really wanted a place of their own. So we worked with that information, and we opened 2 brand new basketball courts at Raymond High School this summer, which was very exciting. We talk about numbers. It's very important to get resources out into the community. We work with our state partners and we promote all of these numbers with our young people in the schools and in the community. One of our strategies is social media. It plays a good role and a bad role. But our messaging and reach, we reached over 283,000 people last year with just these social channels. Anna was our 2025 scholarship recipient this year, and I won't read her whole thing, but if this was part of her application, what the coalition means to her and what she got out of being a member of the Raymond Coalition for Youth. In important words like community, connections, she got to volunteer, she got to build stronger bonds, she learned new skills, and she's going to take those skills with her for the rest of her life. So we're very proud of Anna and wish her well on her college career and her life career, her path. But she's a great example of the things that you can learn being a part of the coalition. So we have some work to do, which is why we're all here together, because when we do it all together, we do it much more quickly. We have a bigger impact, so thank you again. The sustainability of our coalition. We hear over and over again how the Raymond Coalition for Youth has been doing this for a long time, since 2002. So 23 years in. These are the things that keep us going, the time, talent, and treasure that all of you share with the coalition in some way. And there was a lot of work put into this event. There were a lot of people behind the scenes for the past, I don't know, I want to say thank you to my staff team too, Pam, and we have our newest member, Kelly. I don't know where they are in the room, but they were. Pam organizes our young people. God bless her. It's a lot of work. And our volunteers as well. And again, a lot of volunteers helped to make today happen. So you're our best cheerleader. If you learn something today and you go out into the community and you talk about what you learned today, that is a huge win for us, because alone, one person can only reach so many people. But if all of us are sharing this information together through the various different ways, that helps us make a difference, far beyond the Raymond borders. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, and we do have a board of directors. If some of my board members are in the room, if you could raise your hand, please. They volunteer their time. If you're interested in being on a fabulous board, you can talk to any of them or myself. We would love to have you. Our financials are also in the book. We are completely transparent with the money that we take in. We don't focus on one certain source of income. We know that if we did that, we could very quickly fail. So we need to be very diversified. These are our resources and our website, which we encourage you to share if someone's looking for support. And then one of the reasons that we're able to continue our work, our diversified funding, is we have our annual fundraising gala. It'll be on March 21st at the Atkinson Country Club. You also have things on your table. If you're having fun here, you'd really have fun there, and you can already pre-order your tickets if you're interested. And we also are fortunate enough to have charitable gaming through the state of New Hampshire. We are at the Brook, and our days are next week, October 28th to November 1st. And on your table, you don't have to do it now, but you all have an index card, a fluorescent one, so you can't lose it in the pile of stuff that you have. But that's our evaluation for the day. We wanted to keep it nice and simple. You can rate the day from 1 to 5, and if you want to leave a note, that would be fantastic. That's all I have for you. I tried to keep it quick. Senator Maggie Hassan, due to the shutdown, she was going to be joining us today. I forgot to take this slide out, so I apologize. I got word last night she could not come. But we do have Congressman Chris Pappas with us today, and he's been a huge supporter of the coalition.
Thank you. Well, thanks very much, Celeste. Good morning, everyone. It's really great to be with you all here today. I want to thank Celeste for all of her determination and work through the years. Don't undersell what the Raymond Coalition for Youth has built. This is a mature, effective organization that punches above its weight. Not only do people around the state of New Hampshire know what's going on in this organization, but people across the country hold it up as a model. So congratulations in terms of what you all have built here in this room. It's really important. And I think as Alice showed us, those gears in the machine of the coalition and how they all need to be turning together. There are so many stakeholders and folks represented here in this room today, from law enforcement to education to healthcare to local and state officials. Just grateful for everyone for the work that they put in to keep this organization moving. Of course, the most important people in the room are the students. And they're also the most effective voices that we have to be able to continue to influence young people and to make sure that students are making the right decisions. You all help us understand the pressures, what's going on out there in school, and help ensure that the adults in the room are doing right by you and making sure that you all are equipped to be able to go down your path, to navigate your future, and to have a future that's full of opportunity and possibility. So we're really grateful for all the students that are here too. Look, Senator Hassan couldn't be here, obviously, because of what's going on in Washington. I could be because the House hasn't been in session for a month, but be that as it may, we've got to bring this government shutdown to an end because we need to make sure that there's some predictability with respect to how we fund government and the kind of funding that flows down to the state and community level, which is really important for a number of different initiatives, including how we address addiction in the state of New Hampshire, how we support public safety, how we support education. So that is top of mind for me. I also know that there have been efforts to scale back what we have been able to achieve in terms of historic federal investment in tested organizations and initiatives around public health, around substance abuse treatment and prevention. This is not a time to dial back any of those resources. In fact, we have to continue to be doing more. We know addiction is going to continue to be with us for a long time in the state of New Hampshire. The substances that show up in our communities may change, but the strategies that you are all honing and sharing with your community members are really critical for us to work on that prevention side to make sure that we are getting to a point where we are not seeing substance misuse to the degree that we are today. And I think that bold goal that you have within the next few years of what you can deliver for students in Raymond is just incredibly, incredibly powerful. So we're watching some of the trends that we're seeing from the federal level in terms of funding for SAMHSA. We're trying to hold the line in terms of making sure that New Hampshire continues to receive its fair share of dollars that we need to continue to make the smart investments in evidence-based approaches to addressing addiction in New Hampshire. But look, the solutions aren't going to come from Washington, and that's the beauty of the Raymond Coalition for Youth in itself. The solutions come from the ground up, and they come from communities like Raymond and cities and towns across the state of New Hampshire where folks understand that we are all touched by substance misuse. We're all touched by the mental health crisis in New Hampshire. There isn't a family or a community or a school that is spared by this. And so we all have to do more in order to look out for each other, to make sure that people get the care that they deserve, that they have the information that they need to make the right choices in their lives, and that we're also equipping law enforcement with what they need to keep deadly substances off our streets. This is a supply and demand issue. And I hear that a lot from the law enforcement community in New Hampshire. I just want to thank them for the work that they do. I know I was at DEA not too long ago, touring the lab in Bedford, and it is eye-opening, the substances that they are testing, that they are pulling off the streets all across New Hampshire. Pills that look just like something that's manufactured by a pharmaceutical company that are laced with really deadly substances. There's no safe experience out there. And so I think that this organization is important because you're able to pull together that knowledge in a way that informs students, informs community members with real-time information from law enforcement about the threats that are out there. And that's the best way and the most effective way that we can keep people prepared and that we can ultimately save lives. There have actually been some really good statistics over the last few years in terms of overdose deaths coming down in the state of New Hampshire. That didn't happen on its own. It didn't happen by accident. It happened because we're a state where people like to roll up their sleeves, where they want to do right by fellow community members, and where people can collaborate and work together. And so I think of that a lot. The funding from Washington is really important, but the strategies and ultimately the work that's done is done at the local level, and that's the way that it should be. And so I want to continue to be a good partner as best I can to make sure that your success can continue to move forward and that you're continuing to change and improve the health and well-being of people all across our state. So thanks for being part of this conversation. Tim, if you're keeping score, this is my third summit here today. I don't know if there's a badge for that or anything, but I'm glad that you keep showing up and keep coming back. We have a number of organizations and coalitions around the state that received funding initially as drug-free communities, have other federal funds that have come in, but haven't built this sort of sustainable model that the Raymond Coalition for Youth has identified. And so funding is one thing, but your participation is what makes it special and what keeps it going. And just again, to go back to the students in the room, you're the most important people here. Your future is incredibly important. You all deserve to have bright, healthy lives that you're looking ahead to. We want to make sure that all of your peers, all of your fellow students enjoy the same sort of a future. And I think that having adults in your corner, having people that believe in you and want to empower you is a really beautiful thing. And so thanks to everyone for making that possible today. Hope you have a great summit.
Okay, our keynote speaker today is Dr. Alvin Caldwell. And I realize that he's not giving me anything to talk about, so I just have to talk from the cuff really quickly. He works for the Raymond School District, but he has so much more experience than that he brings with us today. He actually spoke at our June coalition meeting that we had, and several people came to me afterwards and said, "Can you get Alvin to speak at the summit, because he will be fabulous." So I asked Alvin, and he agreed. So we have him with us today. I'm going to welcome you to come on up. Talking about the chronicles of childhood and adolescent traumas and dramas. I'm sure it will be a very interesting conversation. There's something below here that he's going to share with us that is definitely intriguing me. So thank you, Alvin.
Good morning. I sent an email to Celeste promising to keep this PG. The work that I do, the life that I've had, it's not PG whatsoever. But I'll be respectful of all the kids to keep it at a PG level. There's so many people that I could thank for getting me to where I am, but I do want to focus on the youth. And I want you kiddos to know your time as kids is not wasted. Take really good notes of your experiences and things. And as I go through some of the chronicles of my own life, it's what all these things have accumulated into bringing me to what I do now. If you forget everything in your childhood and just think you're going to scurry to adulthood and then everything's going to be okay because I'm an adult now. You look at the adults around you and they will start to chuckle and to say, oh no. It's a little complex being an adult in a very complex and a very, at times, dangerous world. So for all the beauty, there are things that do come out of the ashes. So as I go through some of these things, I know that Ms. Baker had for a couple of kiddos to come and to pass. Thank you, gentlemen. So I would like for every kiddo in here to think of 1, 2, or 4 things that you would consider a trauma or something that you would rather not have happen in your life, and pop as many of those bubbles as you can. So pass them around. Do this quickly. Do not look at the adults looking for their approval. I'm not asking you to disclose anything. From your heart, from your mind, to recall some of those things that were certainly traumatic to you, and to pop those bubbles and pass it to the next person. Keeping in the theme of youth, there are some kiddos that I'd like to thank who were the foundation of my career. And I will start with these boys in Ohio, Powell, Pennsylvania. My first job after I graduated out of St. Vincent College. I like that sound, keep it going. These boys taught me so much. They were court-ordered into that program, and all I kept hearing when I got there, and I'm this really young, 20-something-year-old out of college, and all I heard was criminals, delinquents. I scratched my head as these kids started to talk to me, and they could tell I was really young and that I was new, but they taught me something about making yourself available and having them trust their stories with you. And that became kind of a foundation for my career. I want to thank my favorite all-time student, this kindergarten kid, these big brown eyes, and she was so enthusiastic about working with me, and I was, kid, I'm gonna give you a bunch of stuff to do. Why are you so happy? After we worked together, after all that hard work, she came after me every single day and said, when are we gonna do it again? For years, asking. And then the time did come for us to work again, and found that she had dyslexia. Her work to work on this condition, to become a better reader, her family's consent in giving me opportunity to do a lot of research, listen to her describe what was difficult for her, and to find those evaluation measures to help support her efforts to become a better reader, really helped me to learn how to sustain, and that things do take time over years in order for them to get better. Another kindergartner who was friends with her, this bubbly, bright-eyed, very energetic child, full of life, smiling, an infectious smile. She and I, we shared a similar trauma in our youth. And to watch this girl not lose her joy of life for everything that she and her family went through. Even when I see her now, and we run across each other, to see her hard work, her joy of life, that smile that you can't help but to smile back at her. And she always gives me the best hugs, reminding me that life is still good despite a trauma or a drama that may occur in your life. That didn't come from adults, and I've had plenty of adults and wonderful mentors and really special people who have international prominence that put time in my life. But I want you to know that a lot of things came from kids teaching me how to do my work. October of 2022, I sat at one of those tables towards that side of the room. I was new here, had no clue of what is this thing. Saw people get kind of dressed up, and I was sitting there like, I don't really know anybody. Is this all about pageantry? We're at a country club. So I was sitting there like, what's this all about? That all changed by the end of the morning. I found real substance, devoted people, really devoted to the development of youth. And it wasn't just about pageantry. It was truly about changing young lives. And that's what I saw throughout the course of my childhood. October can be a difficult time. It is the month that both of my parents passed. And as I go through this, I hope that as you learn more about me, that by the time you leave here, that you know so much more about yourself. I'm a pretty buttoned up guy. I don't really like talking about myself. So this is going to be hard. And if I have a couple breaks, my voice cracks, it's because it's not comfortable. But I think it's important to recall what it was like growing up and all those contributors to what it made for me to be a healthy adult who's able to go out and support people with a lot of issues. I just realized like 8 years ago, folks really don't come to me without problems. That's my job. Problems, a lot of them, serious ones at times. And when I told someone that, they said, "You're the strangest guy." And I said, I just realized that. I think if I realized it before that, I would have quit. I wouldn't have done it because I had my own issues and problems. So to take on a lot of other problems, it takes a lot for my algorithms to develop a chat GPT that keeps my life aligned with how do you serve other people? How do you take care of other folks? And at the same time, being able to take care of yourself. I still recall that October evening, I was 9. We were preparing to move to Ohio from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And you New England fans don't give me any guff about, please. My brother and I, my younger brother and I, we went to a big family event, had a lot of uncles and aunts and tons of cousins. So to move was this big deal. We were going off to Ohio. My dad went before us to get things ready. My mom wasn't feeling well that evening. She said, "You go, I'll be fine." And off we went. Great night, saying goodbye to cousins, having all the fun. There was a thunderstorm. It knocked all the power out in our neighborhood. Aunt and uncle dropped us off at the curb. We knew the walkway. Made our way to the house, and for the first time in our lives, my mother was not there to greet us. There was never a time that we went out to play or do anything. She had this uncanny ability to know when we were coming home and to open that door and to greet us. How was your day? Who was there? What did you do? Were you kind to people? Come in here and get all that dirt off of you and have something to eat. She wasn't there this time. There's no power. Open the door, walk through the house. Didn't hear, called out for my mom. And for the first time in our lives, she wasn't responsive to that. Walked around the corner and found my mom. Totally unresponsive. Tried to wake her, called her name many times. I looked to my brother. We tried to use the phone and then power's out. Weren't cell phones back then. I said, "You have to go get someone. I know it's dark outside. You gotta be brave. Go get someone." Soon our house was filled with all these adults. The sky was filled with blue and red lights from the emergency vehicles there, and these adults running around with all this confusion about, "Oh, poor Carolyn." That was my mom's name. And what's gonna happen to the children? Well, this 9-year-old knew what was gonna happen. You are not separating me from my brother and sister. I kept my head. You're not separating us, and that was the talk among the adults. I went out, even over police officers who were saying, "We need to get these kids someplace," and I said, "Not if we're not together." So as I was growing older, that's in my chat GPT, that no matter how tough or difficult a situation is, to be able to hold my head and to be able to plan and to keep things together. And out of that tragedy, there's not much that could come up now that's going to shake my world. There's not much that's going to be able to come in and change the algorithms of my chat GPT. I faced that really hard thing. I wish my father was there. I wish other adults was there to take care of it. I had to do it, and you may find yourself in that same spot. Now, for some of you, you may be thinking, dang, that's kind of morbid and sad. But how many of you know children who go home every day to unresponsive parents? Parents who love them, want to take care of them, but they didn't get it themselves growing up. And they're struggling every day to keep money in the house, food on the table, clothes on their back. And they don't know quite how to be responsive to their kids. How many of us know these kids, and do we get annoyed when they come into our classrooms, when they come to practice, when they're going to work? Do we become annoyed by they're distracted? They have things on their mind. I hope that we could stop and think about, yes, we want to educate. We want these kids to do their jobs. We want them to do things right in practice. But there may be other things going on here. And could you take a moment just to recognize that? Part of that recognition system is that once we went back to school, no one spoke to me about my mom. Nobody. No teachers. And I got this from the teachers. And it was, come say something to me. I'm feeling the same way. But no one said a word. It was really hard for holidays and things like Mother's Day. And back then, it was all about mothers. It was all about mothers back then. So you sat there with your construction paper, the blunted scissors, crayons, markers, paste. We had glue sticks then. It was paste. Make something for your mom. And there I was sitting, staring straight ahead, looking at all the kids making things for their mothers. Little did they know I was filled with a lot of guilt and shame that my mom passed before she got to see the type of man that she thought I was going to grow up to be. I was a rambunctious, hyperactive, rough, tumble kid. No one on the block was messing with me. I'd kick your behind acting up. Swinging off of bittersweet vines, coming home all tore up because the vines would snap at times, and all my friends and cousins, they'd be like, oh, you are so cool. That dude is crazy. And my mother, oh, honey, now what? Why, honey, why do you do these things? The worst was when I dug up an anthill, kept digging, and soon it started as an itch, and then it was really painful. Ran home. My mom was a nurse. She looked at me and she almost passed out. And I felt awful, but I was in a lot of pain. Those ants were biting me. She quickly got me undressed, threw me in a tub, and that's always what she did. She was a comfort. No matter how I came home, she was less about what I did and who I was becoming. And I was for both of my parents. That bubble wrap that you popped, I don't know how many bubbles are left on it, but it's representative that no matter how much bubble wrap you put around your kids, they're going to experience something that's negative, that's difficult, that's challenging. A huge challenge of my work are parents who come in and they want to tell me, fix this so my kid doesn't have to suffer or go through the things I did. And I'm scratching my head for some of these parents who are quite successful. How do you think you got to what you're doing? How do you think you got to finding someone that you could care for and marry and have children? It doesn't matter how much bubble wrap you put around them. Do you not think my father wanted to be there and prevent me from finding my mom, his wife? He wasn't there. But the things they poured into my life before that time became important to the resiliency I had to get through those times. Your kids will do the same things. They don't need you to say yes to everything, because this world is full of no's and challenges and people vying for their attention. Influencers drive me crazy. They take all the money from the hits, and what do? Spend hundreds of thousands of dollars changing their facial features, dressing themselves up. And yet, they have so much influence over how you feel about how you look, how you dress, how you feel. My ex-wife and I, we were determined that we were the biggest influences in our kids' lives, because that's what my parents were to me. You must be the biggest influences in your kids' lives and not concede to social media. I have nothing against people going out and spending their money to carve up their faces, but you and those influencers have the same thing in common. When you look at them, you don't recognize yourself, and when they look in the mirror, they have a hard time recognizing themselves as well. It's fake. It's not okay. Do not allow those things to make you feel a certain way about yourself. My parents, in all their teaching and wanting us to do well, also taught that not every good thing is appreciated. Sometimes you could treat someone really well, but we're in a world of suspicion. And one of the craziest things to me is when you go out and you help someone or you do something good, why are you doing this? What's your intention? What's your ulterior motive? I'm glad my parents said that to me as a 7, 8-year-old. That sometimes when you go out and you do good, not everyone will appreciate it. They won't understand what type of person you truly are. The human spectrum's only so wide. And there's acts that look the same, but at times it is the motive, the intention that changes everything that they do. I grew up with this guy, and he's a big boy. Wow. Big, muscular, always in trouble. Grew up to become a notorious drug dealer. When I was at Ohio Power working with those kids and we were getting our cars repaired in the same shop, he recognized me, came over and said, "Heard you work with kids, Caldwell." Yep. And got into this stupid argument with me about Martin Luther King Jr. and that I do all this stupid stuff with kids like Martin Luther King Jr., who had a dream, and look what that got him. And he was trying to convince me as a drug dealer that he did much more for kids than I did. I'd at least put money in their pockets. Now, he's a big boy. Didn't know if he was packing. And I'm sitting next to him feeling kind of small. But when he said he did more for kids than I did, I got a little swole. I didn't care if he was packing or not. And I told him, yeah, you might put money in their pocket, but let them cheat you by a nickel and you'll shoot them in the back like a coward. He growled at me. They shouldn't be stealing from me. We both had similar interests in doing things for kids. His was dangerous. He was using them. I couldn't offer those kids money and things, but I could offer them time, my attention, counsel, advisement. We weren't doing the same things for kids. When I was at Boston Children's Hospital, I had to interview this perpetrator. I was thrown off. Man walked in, looked like he just stepped out of the financial district. His shoes alone probably cost more than everything I was wearing that day. And he looked at me and knew that I was a novice in that work. So he kind of carried the interview. I was shook. I wasn't expecting him to look that way. And he readily admitted all the kids he hurt. And then he said something again that got me all swole up. I watch people like you, how you talk to kids, get down on their level, make your eyes all sparkly, change your voice. I do the same thing, except our intentions are different when I get the kids to trust me. Excuse me, folks, I wanted to punch him. I wanted to hurt him. But there was a truth in what he was saying, and it helped to shape and change the way I approach kids. As they entrust themselves to come, I make them ask for hugs. I do other things to put measures in so that these kids keep themselves safe, that not every adult has good intentions for them. And when people say, oh, you can't even hug a kid anymore, that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say there's bad people who use that. So when the kid comes, I'm not going to say no. Could you ask first? Take a moment to think about it, just to keep themselves safe. We're not going to be there when someone's grooming or trying to do things with these kids. To take that moment. To teach kids not to open doors for strangers when their doors are locked at school. And someone told me I was being rude. You're being rude. Those kids are trying to help you. They see your hands full. So I start creating motor codes in them that they know someone and they open the door. And despite what people want to think, most times it's someone in your own communities that bring hurt when there's school shootings. It's not some stranger coming from someplace else, it's someone familiar. I'm not going to participate in that. I have a key, I have a badge. Thank you for wanting to open the door, but I should open it myself. I'm not going to create that motor code and have kids think that just because they recognize someone that it's okay to open a door. And not to make kids paranoid, and I hope that's not the message you're getting. It's about putting a measure of common sense and safety into place. I spoke about those boys in Ohio Powell and all the talk of criminal, 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 criminal. I couldn't treat them that way. My chat GPT took me to a group of kids I hung out with, and we were the Polish Hill Gang. And no, we weren't like gang. It was just that we hung out and we talked about life. We spoke about the traumas and dramas that were going on in our lives. I was able to talk about not having my mom, and a couple other kids in that group, their moms or their fathers had passed, and we were able to talk and to share. Some of my friends had parents who fought in the Vietnam War, PTSD, and they had the Polish Hill Gang, and we had come and we had talked about that and what was it like, and trusting these very intimate things about ourselves with one another. So when I got to Ohio Powell and a kid slipped and he said something outside of stealing cars or burglarizing homes, and I wanted him to talk more about that, and he looked at me and said, "You're new here. I'm just a criminal." But over time, these kids started to share these traumas in their lives. They would get into fights with each other because they didn't know how to talk about this stuff. The fighting stopped when they were able to talk about some of the dramas and traumas in their lives that contributed to their sense of low self-esteem. No one cares, and I have to go out and do these things. Now, just as it was in the Polish Hill Gang, there was disagreement with some of the kids in our group who did crimes. That was not okay, and just because they were our friends did not mean we were in agreement with what they were doing. And that was a big no, and we let them know that. So when they were talking about their court hearings and going to a place that we called juvie, which was lockup for kids, We let them know we love you, we're going to miss you, but you shouldn't have done it. And it was the same for these kids at Ohio Powell. When I spoke to them, I was not in agreement with the crimes that they did, but I was not going to treat these kids like they were criminals. Part of the punishment was if you were late for breakfast, you didn't get breakfast. Wow. What you got was some frozen waffles thrown in a toaster, a can of government-issued peanut butter, and bananas that were barely edible. They had this beautiful dining hall with big windows, French doors, and they made sure that you were at a picnic table where all the other kids could see you, not getting the breakfast that everyone else had. My chat GPT took me to my mom. There was this tradition that we'd go over and have dinner with grandmother, my dad's mom. Woman couldn't cook. Food was nasty. But this was tradition. The greatest day for my brother and I was when my mom told my dad to stop the car. We're taking the kids out to eat. They're not eating your mother's food anymore. My father looked at her and said, don't talk about my mama. I'm not talking about your mother. I'm talking about her food. We're taking the kids out. That went into my chat GPT. Tradition is only good until it halts progress. It wasn't okay to keep us eating that disgusting food. My mother saved us. She had to speak up though. I went to the cooks and I said, do you still have our meal? And the reason we were late for breakfast was a couple of the kids had nightmares, re-experiences of their trauma, and we talked about it. And those kids hugged each other, they comforted each other. That's why we were late. So when we got up there, I went to the cook and I said, if you have our regular meal still available, I'd like it. That's against the rules. And I had to tell them I did it. And she looked at me and she smiled and she said, I'll pack it up and bring it out to you. So they're eating and my supervisors come around the corner. Alvin, I know you're new here. That's against the rules. So I said, what happens now? No one knew. Was I going to get fired? Reprimanded? They didn't know. So everyone just talked about, there's a guy that doesn't follow the rules. That tradition of not feeding these kids when they were trying to get through their trauma experiences was not okay. It had to stop. And if that wasn't in my chat GPT, from my mom breaking this tradition, as hard as it was to break an agreement with my father and his mother, and you know, getting between a mother and her son, that's some big stuff. And my mom did that. And I went into my chat GPT. And as those kids entrusted their stories with me, and I told them I would never, ever forget what they did and help me understand how to get people to entrust their stories with me. Never in my career did I ever ask someone to trust me. When life has been hard and you have all these problems and traumas, how are you going to trust someone you don't even know? That's craziness to me. And I said, to me. Some people may think it's worth going out and trying to have someone trust you. I ask even to this day, just trust your story with me, allow me to do the evaluations and the work, and I will tell your story. And to date, most have done just that, and trusted these stories of traumas and dramas, and able to do these evaluations. And what's the importance of these evaluations when it comes to trauma? It wasn't just that my mom passed. I lost an advocate. I lost the person who kept me safe at night, rubbed my back, took care of my wounds. The person who walked me to school in thunderstorms when I was terrified of the rain. There was more lost than just my mother. So these assessments isn't just about quantifying the type of trauma, it's also taking an assessment of what was lost and how do you pull the pieces together? How do you recalibrate the algorithms of your ChatGPT to know that your life did not end then? And it never ends with a trauma or a drama. You continue to go on by taking really good notes. So I spoke about some of this shame that I carried, that my mom didn't get to see me be a better person. I just thought I was a bad kid. That was reinforced by sitting in class with my paste and construction paper. There's this little boy, Johnny. He was a wild man. Long blonde hair, cutting a mullet. And Johnny did everything that I would do outside. And who my parents were, I wish I might have a thought bubble of doing some of the stuff Johnny did in school. He was a wild man, jumping off a desk, sticking his head out of the window, screaming, tipping over things. He was just outrageous. Even with all that, Johnny was the second worst kid in the class. I was the worst. I carried that guilt. And I only treated people well because I was afraid that if I didn't, that people would die before I had a chance to apologize for my wrongs. And that's the guilt I carried. One day, Johnny, in his very impulsive way, said, "Hey, Alvin, I know that your mom died." It's the first time I ever saw that teacher move. And she turned and she was angry. Her glasses fell down and she was coming on, and Johnny was shrinking back. Johnny was brave. And he said to her, "All I was going to say, I know that Alvin's mom died, but I know his grandmother lives with them sometimes. I know his aunts come over and help take care of them. Maybe he can make a card for them since his mom's not here." That changed the algorithms of my ChatGPT. That even a really person that's deemed as bad came up with an idea no one else had, that came from a child, a fellow student. I learned that I wasn't such a bad person because my mom didn't see the type of man that she thought I was going to be. Johnny took care of my life. Within a year, the school had a theme of using all the letters of the alphabet to give a trait, some type of virtue to every student. I got the letter O. And for the kid who used to sit with paste and crayons and construction paper, I got the letter O, optimistic Alvin. That one act from that child, from a peer, turned everything around from sitting in grief to being called optimistic Alvin. To reinforce that following year, a teacher grabbed me as I was running out to recess, and he said, "Alvin, I'd like to talk to you." And I was like, "Oh, I want to go out to recess." Just a second. Everything you've been through and how kind you are to other people. There are people like Martin Luther King Jr., and he named all these famous people, and I see that in you. Recess all of a sudden wasn't that important. He helped again to change the algorithms of my ChatGPT by telling me, "You may have felt like you were this bad kid, but I see the good that you're doing. I see the optimism that you're giving to others." Taking good notes. As a child, these are traits that I carried into adulthood. And they kind of put the ribbon on top of all of this as I was approaching my 30th birthday. And believe it or not, it was just last year. There was this woman in my life, I'll just call her Miss F, really good friends with my family. And when we moved back from Ohio to Pittsburgh, her husband had died and she had two sons about the same age as my brother and we were able to give them comfort, ideas about what it was like growing up in a one-parent household. And I wanted to thank her, and I was saying to her, I can't believe I'm going to be older than my mom. My mom was 29 when she passed. And I was feeling a kind of way about turning 30. And she said, I have a secret for you. I have to tell you something. And I said, all I want for my birthday is one time to be able to take that handful of dandelions that I used to give to my mother that she treated like a dozen long-stem red roses. I wanted one more time to say, look at the man I've become. I was married, had a young child, had finished my master's, was getting my doctorate. I wanted her to see that. Through all the rambunctious, crazy things, coming home filled with ants, swinging off a bittersweet vine, coming home tore up, I wanted to give her, instead of the dandelions, the long stem red roses. And she said, I had this secret. I knew your mom. What? We hung out as teenagers. Her best friend was my best friend. And she showed me pictures of my mom having pop, which you probably call soda. It's pop. Having pop and playing records and talking. She remembered when my father and mom started dating. And she said when she was pregnant with you, you were going to be something special. And she was going to see to that. So through all the years of childhood, and my ChatGPT being attuned to something, finally I hear from an adult who said, I took good care. She went to all our school activities. She was like a mom. She did that to honor my mother. And I told her my nightmare was that someday someone was going to tell me that my mom wasn't the person I thought she was. And she said, no, I grew up with her. I saw her. She was as good as you know she was in her wishes for you. And this is why I spent all these years from when I was 12 up until that birthday. This is why she did that. It solidified my ChatGPT that, yes, anytime I was kind and being good to someone, I would be giving them, my mom, those long stem red roses. So when I'm being good to someone, not looking for a date, not looking to manipulate, I am giving roses to my mother. That's my intention. That's why I do it. I recall we were young and we were driving down Atwood Avenue in Pittsburgh. It's like a block from the Cathedral of Learning at the University of Pittsburgh. And we saw this woman being assaulted by this man. We were like 7 or 8. My father pulled over the car, locked the doors, and he said, don't get out. Where is he going? Our face is pressed against the glass. And my father's over with this man, and this man's like, the woman's cowering behind him. And my brother and I were just looking intently. Long story short, the man finally threw up his hands and walked away. My father took some money out of his pocket, gave it to the woman. There was a patrol officer walking. They spoke with the patrol officer. He came back to the car, and we both said, who was she? Why did you do that? Was she an aunt, your sister, cousin? No. She was on Atwood. He wasn't going out of his way. She was on Atwood Avenue where we were traveling, and he decided to stop. He was constantly doing things like that. That's what's in my chat GPT. It will take a whole lot for something that started in my childhood for you to change that in me. It's not fake. Say what you want about me, to me. I'm not shaken by that. My chat GPT was set at a really young age and reinforced over the course of time, and I did take good note to continue doing well. And as my parents said, people at times won't know what's really inside of you. You're going to have to learn how to be forgiving and just to move on when people criticize or accuse you of doing things that is outrageous. So I'll tell this really quick story of when I was teaching courses at Northeastern, and we were talking about acts of kindness and opening doors for people. And so my last class was 8 women, and they said, nope, don't want any guys holding doors open for me. What? Why? Because the whole lesson was about when I would talk to kids about this and they would be mad if someone didn't say thank you for holding the door open, and I said, did you really hold the door open to get a thank you, or did you hold the door open for that person's convenience? Think about what your intentions are when you do it. If you're looking for thank you, you might as well just leave it shut. You're opening a door for convenience. And these women, one of them looked at me and said, no. And I said, why? What is going on? And she said, well, a bunch of guys, when they open the door, they just want to get a peek at my bum. I didn't know what to say, and they were pleased that for once I didn't have a response to a statement made. I said, who thinks of that? So we went over this, and they were delighted that they had me speechless. And after the class, there was a night course, and it usually ended like at 8:30 in the evening. And I always wanted to make sure I was the last one out, and to make sure that those women got out safely to their cars, talked to security to make sure they knew we were done with class. And I always had to hold the door open. On that night, I felt like I couldn't. And they looked at me and they said, we know you're not like that. And I said, yeah, still though. I feel a little uncomfortable doing it. So they held the door open for me. And I said, don't peek at my bum. I know some of you may feel insignificant. You may look at yourself and say, I'm not handsome enough, I'm not smart enough, I sit the bench in athletics. You are a light. You are a light. And particularly when someone who's had a hard time in life comes after you and calls you out, teases you, calls you names, I want to give you a different perspective about this. And you might be saying, I'm not about anything. Why are they coming after me? Because you're a light. And light attracts darkness. Light also attracts things like mosquitoes and moths. You are a light. People who don't like themselves because of the traumas and dramas they've been through, and they're looking at you, going to class, taking care of your business every day, and you're feeling like, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not handsome enough, I'm not smart enough. That's being seen by someone. And they're not understanding, why could you do these things? You ugly, fat, whatever things they're saying. Because in of themselves, it is easier when you don't like yourself to pull someone down than to pull yourself up. Take it as an introduction to a totally new crowd of kids that you probably would not even talk to. And I'm not saying to take all the teasing and things, it does hurt, but I'm saying it's an introduction. In my book, the retelling of the tortoise and the hare informed all the folks there who are watching. The tortoise getting called out. You're slow, you got that big shell. And the tortoise turned to let them know, This was not my first victory. I had lots of victories every day. This is a victory you saw because someone was rude and called me out. But I won lots of times when no one was watching. I won many times when I got myself out of bed when I was feeling ugly, or when I wasn't feeling smart, or I knew I was going to get teased. I still showed up. And as for the hair, even someone who does wrong, and as I informed some kids who felt like all they did was bad, the hair did finish the race. A race he knew he did not win, and suspected that he would be teased with everything that he used to tease other people. He walked through all the reflections of things that he had done wrong and came to that finish line despite all the wrong, and knew that he hadn't won, but he knew he had to finish the race. So even if you've done wrong, finish the race. Even if you're going to get there slowly, take those victories every day that you've had to get out of bed and to make things happen. You are a light. And you may be a small light. Works when I open my refrigerator. I find the food I'm looking for. If I took the floodlights from over my garage and put them in the refrigerator, no good, too big, I wouldn't find anything. If I took stadium lights and put it over my garage, I don't think my neighbors would like that too much. You're a light and you have purpose in the role that you're in. Find your purpose and stick to it. Night covers the world in darkness, yet stars form and come out and shine as lights that gather our attention in constellations. Not every star is bright in those constellations. There's some bright stars and there's not. You take some of those stars out of those constellations, they're no longer noteworthy. No one would pay attention to it. So even if you don't think you're the brightest light, you stay in communities like this coalition, sports teams and other things, and you let your light shine. Light will always disperse darkness. Do not let someone call you out and make you feel any less than who you truly are. Recalibrate your ChatGPT and go out and be the light that you were born to be. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Our young people, our youth action students at the high school and the middle school level are both here today. And I'm not going to take Alice's thunder because she's going to tell you what they're doing. But these are our Raymond Coalition for Youth Youth Action students.
Hi everyone. If you haven't already picked up on it, my name is Alice Peretti. I've been a part of the coalition for 5 years, and I'm a sophomore at Raymond High School. I don't think it's new information for us to say that everyone's different. We all come from different families, different cultures, or different lifestyles. Though we all know this, we seem to struggle more to understand that these differences don't just impact adult lives, but affect our youth communities as well. This year, our theme for our annual Prevention Summit is The Path. Being a part of the coalition, it's not hard to realize that every one of our adult and youth volunteers have different lived experiences. Some may travel along a pathway with struggle and hard times, but luckily for every person in this room, your path has led you here today. So today our youth action groups are going to talk about some examples of the paths that students may be taking and the struggles some are facing. We hope that these examples help to bring light to the lives of our young people and provide you with some skills to help support these students on these paths. To you, as well as to all of the people who have supported you on your path that got you here, thank you.
My name is Parker Ankowitz. I've been in the coalition for 1 year and I'm in 6th grade.
Hello, my name is Kimberly Anderson. I'm a freshman at Raymond High School. I've been in the coalition for 4 years.
Hello, my name is Aubrey, and this is my first year in the coalition, and I'm in 6th grade.
My name is Isaac Donahue. This is my second year in RCFY, and I'm in 7th grade.
Hi, my name is Ava Land. I've been in RCFY for 8 years now. I'm a graduate.
Hello, my name is Xavier Wenzel. This is my 6th year at RCFY, and I'm a senior.
Hi, my name is Bradley Lloyd. I've been in RCFY for 3 years, and I'm a junior in high school.
My name is Jordan Leocadio. This is my 5th year at RCFY, and I'm a sophomore.
Hi, I'm Branson Ankowitz. I am in 8th grade, and I've been in RCFY for 3 years.
Hi, my name is Karina Lombard. I am a freshman at Raymond High School, and this is my 4th year in the Raymond Coalition for Youth.
Our first question is, what are some things that students may be struggling with that impact their time at school? One thing that students may come to school with every day is high expectations. Whether that's put on by external factors such as school, work, or other outside commitments, or it's caused by personal expectations, students are consistently bombarded with hard and draining responsibilities. Some students struggle with comparison and feeling like they need to add more onto their plates throughout the school year. Whether this is sports, advanced classes, an after-school job, or a new club, schools are constantly putting students in the thought process that they need to be more competitive or work harder. These impacts, as well as others that just come with being a high schooler, such as drama and the societal standards that come with growing up, can make students feel overwhelmed and in over their heads.
My topic is physical and mental health issues and how it affects our youth as they come to school and go on with their day. You never know what someone is going through and what they have to do just to get through the day. You can typically see physical health issues more than mental health, but sometimes you can't. Mental health is on the inside, so you can't physically see it. But there are signs people will give off that you can look out for, such as feeling depressed, looking exhausted, or even short-tempered.
Another way students might be struggling is they have a difficult home life. A difficult home life can affect a kid in many ways. One way is a child could suffer from emotional or physical abuse at home, or a loved one could have a substance misuse disorder, thus making it difficult for them to care for their child. Kids are very impressionable, and a difficult home life can carry over into the school day.
My topic was mental health. Mental health in high school is a crucial aspect of a student's well-being. It could affect their academic performances, social reputation, and overall character development. Many students face stress from exams, peer pressure, and personal challenges which can sometimes lead to mental illnesses such as anxiety or depression.
My topic was the death of a loved one. The death of a loved one. The death of a loved one can be something a student is struggling with. At school, it can make them seem disinterested or depressed.
My topic is falling asleep in class. Kids may fall asleep in class for many reasons, such as late night studying, sport activities, video games, or if they have a job that keeps them out at night.
My topic is grief and loss. Students could be grieving someone or something and you do not know. They can be lashing out on people. They might be sleeping more or less. Oftentimes you won't guess.
My topic is a student could be going to school while experiencing being bullied at school or online.
My topic is family substance misuse. Family substance use can be much more than drugs. It can have a bad effect on your health, both mentally and physically. Also, it can affect others, not just the person that misused the substance.
My topic was family being in the military. Family being in the military has risks. I have/had multiple family members in the military, and they all have inspired me and other inspiration for this poster. My family from generations have been in the military. My grandfather, to my father, who sadly couldn't join, decided to be a firefighter instead to help. Then I went to my brother, who is going to be in the Coast Guard. He is currently studying and fasting for ASVAB. I am proud of all who are serving and who aren't anymore. I miss everyone who is in my family that has joined the military. It is hard from having to see them every day until all of a sudden the room is cleared out and empty. Having a family member in the military can be possible, but it's hard to get through. But I promise you will get through it whether you're alone or not.
My topic is emotional abuse. Emotional abuse comes in multiple different ways, like saying weird things to people at home, or like if a child's got a poor grade and an adult hurt their feelings and said you need to do better and allowed it in neglect.
Our second question is, how can adults support students that are struggling with these issues? Some ways that adults can help students struggling with high expectations are by being understanding of these overwhelming commitments, teaching good time management and responsibility skills, as well as reminding students that it's okay to make mistakes and learn new things.
The teacher at school can support you and say, hey, it's okay. If you're not happy with the grade, you can take it with you.
Adults can help support students by giving them a shoulder to lean on if they're struggling, ask how they're doing, or simply just being there and caring for them.
If I was going through this, I would want people to help me and support me through it. Maybe by telling me it's going to be okay, giving me a hug if I ask, and not judging me or my family.
One way an adult could help is by helping them find a sport or hobby. A sport or hobby can help the student get their anger or sadness out in a healthy way.
Adults can offer advice or support or simply ask if they are okay.
Parents can help kids by promoting good sleep hygiene, by enforcing device-free bedtimes to ensure quality sleep, as well as providing a good breakfast in the morning. Teachers can also help kids by talking louder and keeping the lights on.
Adults can help support students by trying to be supportive and giving them a shoulder to lean on.
Adults can play a significant role by helping create a fostering and supportive environment. Educators can openly talk about mental health topics and can support students when expressing their feelings. Providing resources or guidance on seeking help can also make a huge difference. Ultimately, educators can help create a safer environment by prioritizing their mental health and creating boundaries.
Adults can help children with a difficult home life in many ways. An adult in their life at school can help them by protecting them and letting the child know that they are loved and cared for. Children need to be cared for. Then they can thrive and flourish and make it down a positive path.
Adults can help support by never assuming the worst of someone, such as thinking they see it playing video games all night and seem tired. They could have been studying and doing homework. It's also not always the person having an effect on themselves. A family member or a friend could have mental or physical health issues and is in need of help or needs to be taken care of.
Thank you all so much.
Great job. See, all that practice paid off. Thank you all. Did our students so our non-speaking students at the end are also here. Thank you very much for coming. They all have very busy schedules. Great job. All right, our next adventure is several of our students are going to walk you through. We're going to play Kahoot. And on your table you have an orange piece of paper. If you need a Youth Action member to help you at your table, raise your hand and they would be happy to come over and help you. And the students I have who are running it can come over here.
We just gotta go first.
All right. So everyone's going to answer the questions. The choices should come up on your phones.
Who is responsible for youth substance misuse and suicide prevention? Schools, parents, police, or all of our community working together?
All right.
You might want to read it correctly.
All of our community working together!
Table 10 is at the lead. What is the active ingredient in marijuana plant that produces a high in some cases even psychosis? THC chemical, CBD chemical, CBG chemical, or all of the above? THC.
Marvel's Army is now in the lead. In the 1980s, the average marijuana plant THC potency was 3 to 5%. What is the average THC potency today? 6%, 14%, 18%, or 23%? The correct answer was 23%. Yellows have moved up.
Yes, Miss Massey. In the state of New Hampshire, marijuana is decriminalized, illegal for recreational use. Therapeutic cannabis is available for qualifying conditions. All of the above.
What do I do for the last question?
Just answer the question, and then if you want to hand me the microphone, I can be like, okay, get it.
Double points. What is the 24-hour suicide hotline number? Is it 911, 988, 111, or 555? The answer is 911.
Everyone got that one right! Woo!
Are you reading these now?
No, you're here.
Raymond is still in the lead.
Oh, I see the rest.
I think we should slow down a bit.
An adult caught with a personal amount of marijuana, not more than 3/4 ounce, would get a summons to pay a fine of $250, $500, $100, or $1,000. The correct answer was only $100.
The THC potency in today's marijuana products can be as high as 48%, 99%, 25%, or 75%.
There's 12%.
99%.
I'll look at that. Like, I'll be like, okay, we have a little pie.
Well,
I'll do the winner, and then we're hanging out.
Prescription drugs are not bought at a pharmacy could contain fentanyl, carfentanil, xylazine, or all of the above. The answer is all of the above. The Rams are still in the lead.
On fire, too.
Double points. In 2024, 11 drivers in New Hampshire under the age of 21 died in an accident due to distracted driving, not wearing a seatbelt, driving under the influence, or any of the above. The correct answer was any of the above. The Rams are still in the lead.
These rings all keep carrying. Oh, another double point.
When is the DEA National Take Back happening in Raymond and Kenya, New Hampshire? October 25th, every April and October, tomorrow, all of the above.
Any of those.
Rams are still in the lead.
What is RCFY Youth Action's favorite snack? Popcorn, Cheez-Its, ice cream, or wraps to eat chips?
I could never guess.
The answer is wraps to eat chips.
Nope, that's it. No. Oh, is it the winner? I mean, the winner. Who's the winner?
Podium.
The old people in third place, Rams in second place. The winner is Table 10! For Table 10, we have a little prize. We have Rack City chips donated by the Ryan Carpenter family.
All right, each year we give out awards for our prevention partners who, obviously everybody who's part of the coalition makes up all the great work that we do each year. But we started doing this at the beginning, and it's really, really hard to choose our prevention partner awards. But we have a committee, we have nominations, and we look into it, and these are the three sections that we do: a Community Leader Award, a Youth Leadership Award, and the Greg Savinsky Community Partner Award. Greg Savinsky was one of our board members, and for anybody who knew him, he worked at Walmart Distribution Center. Please. It's a nice little tone. Just go with that. What? No. Okay, well, it's a good thing you noticed that. So Greg definitely had a mentality of all of us working together, and we could all do so much more when we did it together. So that's, Greg passed, and we put this award in his name in honor of all the great work that he did for the coalition. So these are the past recipients who have received this award in the past. They're also on the back of your program. We're very grateful for all of these partners. This year, the Greg Savinsky Partner Award goes to the New Hampshire Union Leader. They could not be here right now because they're meeting a deadline, but I met with Joe McQuaid, who is the editor, and they are very good about addressing marijuana. It's a controversial topic that not all news outlets will address because of the politics that are involved in it, but the Union Leader consistently puts articles in there that are bipartisan, that show both sides of it, and they're a definite advocate for our work. So they received this award this year. Our Community Leader Award. These are our past recipients. Mr. Ben Williams is in the room. He received it last year from Liquor Enforcement. Thank you. This year, it goes to Jeffrey Trahant. He is a juvenile justice probation officer, if I got that correctly. He is unfortunately out on medical right now, so he could not join us this morning. So that was poor timing for all of us concerned, but especially for him. I don't know if you had something to say. Our Youth Leadership Award, I'm going to give the microphone over to Ava. She's going to present this.
Hello again. The student winning this year has been in RCFY for 7 years. He is an intern over the summer. He helps with all the summer series. He is a middle school volunteer help. He's a great mentor to the kids, and everybody looks up to him. He shows up for everything, never late, always willing to stay and help clean up, and always helping set up. He's enthusiastic, upbeat, friendly, good listener. Please congratulate Xavier Wenzel.
That's one of the hardest ones to give every year. Xavier is very well deserving of it. Obviously, the slides are out of order, so this should have went first, but these are our past recipients here, Ava being one of them. So, all right, it's my honor to now introduce Danielle Elston of the New Hampshire Liquor Enforcement. She is going to have an interesting presentation for us, a little scary also, but.
Move around, I don't do well standing still. Good morning, my name is Danielle Elston. I'm the Deputy Chief with New Hampshire Liquor Enforcement. Thank you for having us. Today we're talking about hemp, THC, and the unknown. This is going to be an eye-opening presentation for a lot of you in this room, and we have a bit of a call to action at the end of this from a lot of you here. So before we get into anything, we need to talk about terminology. I know it's boring, it stinks to have definitions on the screen, but we need to know what we're talking about in order to know what this is. We have cannabis, it's a plant which is grown for industrial fiber or for the cannabinoids contained in the plant's flower. Cannabinoids, class of chemical compounds naturally occurring or synthetic. CBD, potential therapeutic applications. THCA, okay, ready? Tetrahydrocannabinolic acid. Cannabinoid is produced by the plant and is not intoxicating. But delta-9 THC, no A or acid, is produced when THCA is burned. Here's the quiz question. No, I'm kidding, there's not a question. Delta-9 is intoxicating. Delta-8 THC is synthetically produced from CBD. Delta-8 is intoxicating. That's important to remember as we go through this presentation. So in 2008, how many of you have heard of the Federal Farm Bill? The Federal Farm Bill was made for rope, not dope. This was created, statutory definition of hemp, and removed hemp from the statutory definition of marijuana. What this was is people were making hemp product, they were cultivating cannabis, they had extra product, and they wanted to create fiber with it, they wanted to create clothing with it, they wanted to create, again, rope. But, like with anything, what happens? Some people find a loophole. Hence, the hemp, I don't want to say epidemic, but the hemp situation we're in now. The new definition continued to be based in the cannabis plant Delta-9 THC concentration of not more than 0.3% on a dry weight basis. That's important to understand in part of this too, because when we talk about dry weight, it doesn't always translate directly to liquid. The definition was expanded to include seeds and all derivatives, extracts, cannabinoids, isomer acid salts, and salts of isomers. Many states have enacted laws to close what is referred to as the hemp loophole. So let me explain to you what the hemp loophole is. So the hemp loophole was, again, keep that in mind, the Farm Bill was made for rope, not dope. But what started to happen is they started to take these hemp products, this leftover cannabis plant, and make edibles with it, consumable products with it. So the hemp loophole has allowed the sale of products containing psychoactive cannabinoids that the federal law did not intend to legalize. So this is how these hemp products came into play. They legalized part of the hemp to make, so the cultivators could use these extra products to make, again, fibers and everything, and now we found this loophole where now they're making edibles. So in 2023, New Hampshire actually passed one of the most restrictive hemp laws in the nation. So kudos to New Hampshire. We did a great job with this. What we said is nothing in this chapter shall be construed to authorize the sale of products that are derived from hemp, which contain natural or synthetic THC greater than 0.3% on a dry weight basis, which appear in any formulation, including Delta-8 THC, Delta-9 THC, with any other THC isomer variant. Remember, 8 and 9 are intoxicating. So when that passed, it was great because there's maybe this many hemp products or edible products that fall into that category. So it really limited what was allowed in New Hampshire. The downfall to that, by no one's, with no purpose behind it, it was no one's fault, is we put that in the hemp statutes. Now, when the Farm Bill was passed, each state got an option. They could create their own hemp product internally in that state, hemp program, or they could allow that hemp program to be regulated by the USDA. So keep in mind, in 2018, it was just hemp cultivators. That's what the Farm Bill was created for. And New Hampshire opted for that to fall under the federal regulation instead of the state regulation. So what happened is we passed this very, very restrictive law, but we put it under a statute that no one is enforcing in the state. No one's regulating it in the state because we fall to the USDA, who only regulates the cultivators. So what happens when we have this great statute, but we have no one looking at it? So this is from a research that happened when cannabis started to come into the states. Some states legalized it, some states did not legalize it. And this, I think, applies exactly to what has happened with hemp. While a company's cannabinoid-containing products may be illegal under state law, some companies still engage in the illegal conduct. Instead of complying with the relevant laws and regulations, these companies incorporate the enforcement practices of the relevant state and local jurisdiction in their risk assessment regarding their proposed and ongoing business activities. In other words, If nobody is enforcing it, they take the risk. And that's what's happened in New Hampshire. We've had a group of people come in and say, hey, look, there's no one really enforcing it. We can get these illegal products in the market because no one's watching it. So what happened to us is part of our job is to go into our licensees and do premise inspections and making sure they're complying with all New Hampshire state liquor laws, tobacco laws. And we had our investigators walking into these establishments and they started seeing some of these hemp products that were labeled with THC. And we went, that's weird. And then we went into another establishment and we went, that's strange. And so we started to do a deeper dive into what these products were. And what's happening is there are no labeling, packaging, advertising restrictions or requirements on these hemp products because, again, we don't have a hemp program in the state, and there's so few products that actually fall into the definition that it's hard to navigate which ones are legal and which ones aren't. So what happens is a lot of manufacturers label the product 0.3% or Farm Bill compliant, but there's no actual way for us to actually verify that, right? It's just a label on a package. And what the licensees see is, oh, this is Farm Bill compliant. It's federally compliant with federal law. This must be fine. There's no testing requirements or laboratory requirements, so we have to believe what's on the label. That doesn't make everybody feel super good that we just have to trust how it's labeled. Other states have reported finding products with the 99% THC and Farm Bill compliant or under 0.3% labels. So again, we're trusting what's being put on this label with no verification, testing, labeling requirements in the state. There is no legislative or administrative mechanism to confirm the products are 0.3% or less, and there's no enforcement or regulatory oversight on any of these products. So they're coming in and there's really no one watching them. And there's no structured statutory administrative mechanism to license, verify, test, or regulate these products. So what has happened is throughout the state, we have states that allow cannabis products, and we have states that actually allow intoxicating hemp products. So this isn't what you would think that it's, you know, the scary guy in the white van driving up to the back of the store and he's like, hey, you want to buy some stuff out of my truck? It's not really how it's happening. What's happening is these are legitimate manufacturers who are making legal products for other states. So they're walking into these stores and saying, look, my product's Farm Bill compliant, I have a website, I have a business card, I'm wearing a business suit, everything looks on the up and up. And initially, because no one was really watching it, that's kind of how these products got into our stores. So this is an example of what you'll see in the stores. So remember, the state law for New Hampshire is less than 0.3% Delta 9, Delta 8, and any other isomer variant. So here you look at this, you say, okay, less than 0.3% hemp, Farm Bill compliant. This looks great, right? Well, if you scan this QR code here, you'll see that yes, it is less than 0.3% Delta 9, but we're actually at 82% Delta 8. And if you remember from those definitions, Delta 8 is intoxicating. So we have actually an 82% Delta 8 product on the shelves for everyone to buy. Now, because of the way the law was written, super restrictive, we didn't need any age restriction on it because the products that are legal by statute are not intoxicating. So technically, and what is happening, there's no age restriction on any of these products. And they are on our shelves. These are some of the products that, these are actually pictures from products that we've seized. And they are high, they end up being high potency. You can see this one is Days Nerd, the Nerd Rope. That's actually a hemp THC product, not the Nerd Rope that the other gummies. This is a vape product, Gelato Blue Dream. This is from a shelf. This is actually from a shelf in Seattle, Washington. We got this from a presentation from another liquor enforcement group out west. These are all hemp products. These are all intoxicating hemp products. How many of you could tell the difference right now? This is a picture from a New Hampshire store. These were seized not too long ago. Again, all intoxicating hemp products that are coming in. And again, what I think is important here is some licensees might know what they're doing, but some don't. Some are seeing that language, right? Farm Bill compliant, less than 0.3%. And it makes it look like it's a legitimate product. So they're coming in and they have a legitimate manufacturer who's not a scary drug dealer. He is, they're licensed in other states. They are selling to cannabis states. They are selling to other intoxicating hemp states. And they're coming in and say, hey, buy our product. It's Farm Bill compliant. And everybody's going, oh, look at that. Nice labeling. They're legitimate, and they're bringing these products in. So we started, not only did we start seeing these in stores, but this is a true story. We received a complaint from a local jurisdiction where a 12-year-old overdosed on gummies purchased at a convenience store. Packaging of the product seemed to confirm compliance with law, however, the actual content of the gummies was unknown. So this is a package of gummies that said Farm Bill compliant, less than 0.3 THC, hemp. They were able to purchase it because it's not age restricted, and they ended up overdosing on the product itself. And then, how about this? This is a THCA product. Anybody gonna know the difference between that and a marijuana bud? This is actually on the shelf at a convenience store in New Hampshire. Local police department called to inform us they had contact with an individual in possession of what appears to be cannabis. The individual purchased it from a local convenience store who had a jar of THCA cannabis on their counter. Lab test results determined that the product's illegal. So what happens with THCA is if the surrounding states have just adopted the Farm Bill language. Again, remember how we said if there's a loophole to find it, someone's going to find it? Lots of states, THCA doesn't fall under the Farm Bill. It's actually not covered in that language. So if the state just adopted the Farm Bill language, or they just, they have no state language, then this THCA product was created and brought in as kind of that hemp loophole. So if you remember from the definitions, THCA, once it's burned, becomes Delta-9 intoxicating. So what are we doing about this? Actually, I'm going to talk about what we're doing about it at the end. We're going to go through one more thing so I can show you what's out here. We're going to talk about intoxicating vapors. So in this state, you can't possess intoxicating vapor, but you also cannot buy or sell any such substance for the purpose of violating or aiding another to violate this section. So what's an intoxicating vapor? It's also known as huffing. Well, it used to be known as huffing. I don't know how old I am, but I'm sure y'all tell me. This is inhaling something to get high. So some of these products are not illegal on face value. You used to see this, it was hairspray or computer cleaner, or it was very legitimate products that now, that people would buy and they would inhale it and get that high. We're now seeing a different type of inhalant out there, and they're in stores that are clearly products used to get high. So this, again, our stores in New Hampshire, this is a 12-pack of cosmic gas. It is a 12-pack of cans with an intoxicating vapor in it. You open the can and huff the can and get high. There's also vanilla ice cosmic gas. There's no question as to what these are being sold for. This is not the computer cleaner being repurposed for something else. These are the products that are being manufactured and sold. Smart Whip here, another Smart Whip there. So again, this is a trend that we are seeing come back into New Hampshire, come back into the stores. that we haven't seen before. We haven't seen it as blatant as this before. So what can we do? So we've got a couple avenues we go through. So when this started to happen, when we started to notice this, we send out industry circulars. These are information to our licensees. We've been heavily messaging to the licensed establishment what are legal products and what are not legal products. They've received a circular twice now explaining what they can have on their shelves, what they can't have on their shelves, and a directive to remove all the illegal products off their shelves. We're hoping most of our licensees in the state want to comply. So we're hoping those that were, had those products that they weren't sure of have removed those from the shelves. We are taking administrative action with our licensees. We are charging these as aggravated violations. We see these as a threat to public health and safety. So we're taking an aggressive approach to try to get these products off the shelves. But what we need your help. If you see these in these stores, if you see anything in these locations, please call us and let us know. The only way we can't do this ourselves. The only way we're going to be able to properly educate the licensees and properly get these products off the shelves is we need to know where they are. We need to go get them out. We also need support and coordination from local and state law enforcement. Again, if you're encountering these products, if you see these products, you might not realize that they're actually illegal products. Let us know. We'll help you in any way that we can to help you in your enforcement efforts. There are several legislative avenues that have taken place. There were a bunch of legislators at our Rockingham legislative breakfast. We gave the same presentation and they said, how can we help? So again, the part to this that's good is New Hampshire did a really good job. We made a really good hemp law. We just got to move it to the right place so that we can take the right action on it.
What's your phone number?
I'll have it, I think it, did I put it on this? We'll send it out. We'll send it out. So that's the hemp loophole in New Hampshire in a nutshell. I'm trying to stay on time here. So, but yeah, I mean, some of you saw some of this stuff and are saying, oh wow, this is really shocking, and it is, It's not something that we expect. We've had this push against THC in New Hampshire for a long time, and unbeknownst to, everyone, this kind of creeped in through the back door. So it's here. We're doing our best to get rid of it, but we definitely need your help. And if there's ever a group of people in a room that are going to take some action on it, it's this group. So, any other questions on this? I know it was a lot of technical information in a short amount of time, but I think it's important for everybody to know that this is out there and that our kids have access to it. Yeah?
What about Kratom?
Kratom. Kratom is its own beast. There is some legislation this year on Kratom. Kratom is a Delta 7, so technically, depending on the variant that it is, it wouldn't be allowed. There's some other technical parts of Kratom that you have to take into effect when you find it. I believe in New Hampshire there's been 1 or 2 jurisdictions that have passed town ordinance to ban Kratom, but I do know that there is some pending legislation on dealing with Kratom this year. There's variants of it. So in this, the hemp language covers all those variants, and that's not always the case with some of these other intoxicating products. Not to end on a happy note, but
Thank you, Danielle. Just a little bit of a follow-up on that. We have been working with Ben, who is a representative of liquor enforcement who attends our coalition meetings, and several other prevention coalitions in the room at a state level, and we convened a group this past week to talk about these products and to see if we can put together informational packets that can go out to the stores so we can go into our communities and provide information. And then for parents and community members to be aware of these things in a safe way, so we're not promoting them, but more putting out some information in a safe way. And then putting together language for local ordinances. As Danielle mentioned, Nashua and Franklin have put warrant articles in that these things can't be sold in their communities. We want to see if looking into that information, those warrant article language, and see if we can have like a boilerplate that we can give to each community to go and pass these warrant articles to make these things illegal in every community in the state of New Hampshire. So again, that ground level grassroots effort trying to work with our state partners to make a difference on that. I was going to say something else about that. Kratom, somebody mentioned Kratom. That's available for sale probably in every single town in the state of New Hampshire, but in Raymond, it's in Cozy Corners, and there's a flag flying advertising that Kratom is available in there. So it's up to us to raise awareness about the dangers of these things. We had, where's Branson? Can you raise your hand, Branson? What time is it? I think, Branson, would you like to come up and tell everybody about Red Ribbon Week? Yeah. Branson is amazing. Branson gave a conversation yesterday at the middle school. We're very fortunate. Our middle school principal is here, and he has given, and our student assistant program counselors here. We're working with them. Talking about Red Ribbon Week, and he had a great conversation with the kids yesterday. He's just going to steal the show. I'm going to give it to him. He's going to take it over.
Hi, so you've met me. So I was kind of just thrown up here, but
let's see how you do.
Yeah. So Red Ribbon Week started with a DEA agent in Texas, New Mexico or Texas, trying to stop drugs from coming into the country. Sadly, he lost his life trying to do that. So as it's a national thing, celebrating that and to raise awareness to drugs and alcohol, because it is a real danger for these kids. So it is a national week, and our school this year, we did a whole month of it. And so we did that, and we have activities, and each of our grades has been going to the library and getting a presentation of what Red Ribbon Week is, what it means to them, why they don't vape, all of these things. And it has been amazing to see that so many kids in the school are learning about this and that they know about this and they are taking action. So.
Thank you, Branson. On the spot. He never disappoints. And he did a great job. He did a question and answer with the kids yesterday, and he asked them what the coalition was. And two students that raised their hands, one of them said, Raymond Coalition for Youth is here to make our community a better place for all of us to live in, which was a huge comment from a fifth grader. And then another one commented that they're here to keep us safe. So all of us in the room, that's what we're doing when we come here to events like this. So with that, I want to introduce our board chair, Patrick Arsenault. He has been on the board for, I've lost count, since 2012. He was not here when we were raising our hands for how many summits you've been at, but he's been at all of them. He's literally maxed out all of his time in each position as treasurer. Then he would get off and he'd be treasurer again. Now he's the board chair, and he's literally being kicked off of the board chair because he's done it so long. So he is a huge asset to the coalition, and we're very grateful to have him. And he's going to close out the morning for us.
Thank you to Deputy Chief Elston. I feel like every year we kind of end this event with some scary, scary information, but it's also a very good reminder of all the work that still needs to be done. We talked a lot about our paths today, and I believe that everyone in this room is here similarly motivated to do the work, whether it's within the community of Raymond, surrounding communities, the state level, and beyond. Sometimes that path can be as straight as an arrow. Sometimes we have to make hard left or right turns. Sometimes you look ahead and it can be as foggy as the top of Mount Washington usually is. But as long as you keep an eye on what your end game is, what your goal is, and as Dr. Caldwell mentioned, your inspirations, we'll all get there together. So with that said, I also want to thank Dr. Caldwell. It doesn't matter how comfortable you are speaking publicly, that took a lot of courage to come up here and share all those parts of your path. So thank you for that. I'd like to thank the youth who presented today. I think from the sound of things, Kahoot is going to be a regularly scheduled item on our agenda at these events moving forward. And finally, I'd like to thank Celeste for putting all of this together and her staff as well. She's the captain who's been driving the ship since the beginning, and we wouldn't be doing stuff like this if it wasn't for you. So thank you so much.